Hello YouTubers, this is going to be a very short video on the basics of starting Japanese Kozo paper. This is a sample of Japanese Kozo paper. As you can see, I pulled this sheet but it has some imperfections, so I have to do some extra. You can see these little areas in here, that's a little too thin. That's the support, underlying support on the mold that I use. The paper, you want it to look thin like this, really thin, without having any breaks in it. And as you can see, it's super thin. You can see through it. It looks almost like tissue paper, and it is very, very thin. So Japanese Kozo paper is made by using what's normally used now is called Thai Kozo, because it's a little less expensive and it's a little bit more popular, easy to get, should I say. This is what it looks like. It comes on long strips. As you can see, the fibrous bark there. But I cut it so that it would fit into my pot. I cut most of it. Whatever I was going to use, I cut it. So you boil it using soda ash. Some people use lye, but soda ash is less caustic, and you still must handle it using gloves. This has been boiled. I boiled mine I cook it for about 5 hours or more. That way I don't have to beat it so much. And some people recommend 2.5 hours. It depends on what you're using to cook it on. Someone I know used a gas stove and it only took about 2.5 hours. However, I use a hot plate and I use it outside because it is caustic and I didn't want to inhale the fumes. But this is what you start with. Once you boil it, and then you rinse it off, rinse it really good. Let the water run almost clear in the container. Then you get about a size, a heaping, or as they say, about the size of a cantaloupe or grapefruit. And then you take some type of mallet or wooden object, and you're going to beat this. You can hear how wet it is. You're going to beat this as if it's steak, and you're going to make you're going to tenderize it or make pepper steak or hamburger out of it. As you can see, I just want to beat a few pieces. You beat this whole thing around. As you can see how it's starting to mush the fibers together. And you'll beat it and fold it inward and beat it and continue folding it inward and beating it. It's recommended that you beat it for about 10 minutes. Afterwards, it will look similar to this. At which time, after the 10 minutes, you add a 1/4 cup of water, beat it 3 minutes more, add another 1/4 cup of water, beat it 3 minutes more. You do that about 5 times. The fibers some are stringier than others, and sometimes I get carried away when I'm beating it, so sometimes some of these will look like they've been beat more than others. Now, the way to test this, once you beat it, the amount of time is to get some water in a container. You take a little water in a container, and you just pinch off a piece. Doesn't have to be that big, but I want you to see it. You pinch off a piece and you drop it in the water. You can shake it around or do that. If it breaks up like that, it's ready. Then you're going to use some type of formation aid. You can purchase an expensive one from a store that sells paper making products, or you can get okra. Either whole or cut, it doesn't matter. I just cut them so it speeds up the process. But you can do it, they can be whole or they can be cut. You'll put them in just a container of plain water. Don't know if you can see it. And then it'll start sliming. You see that? It's been sitting in there for maybe an hour or so. It doesn't take long at all. So what I want to do is, that's what it looks like there, and it's ready to use to form paper. But what I like to do also is I like to take some of this and put it in a blender. If I can find the lid, I won't splatter it everywhere. I put a little in a blender because I don't like mine to have so much fibers in it. See if we can pull this off. As you can tell, it still has a lot of fibers, but you see it's starting to look kind of mushy like baby food. See that little gelatin-like mush on it, like baby food? Perfect. So you can either have just these long fibrous ones, or you can have that mushy like that. Let's add a little of this. See that mush? Ooh, let's add a little to here. See the difference? It's all cloudy. I like that cloudy look in there because that cloudy stuff is really all you need to form the paper. You don't need these other long fibers. And that ball about this size, I'm making paper about, I think that paper measures about 16 by, about 15 by 17, I believe it is. On the inside, when the sheet comes off, it looks about that big. And I can form about 3 sheets of those off of this one little ball. Okay. Till next time, thank you for joining me.